Just got you. Of course I'm here. It's Training Tuesday time. Welcome to Training Tuesday. Sorry for the last minute of a late start to Training Tuesday today. Yeah, we're here. Looking forward to seeing hopefully some of you at Plaza Show in London coming up starting Sunday this week, Sunday to Tuesday. We'll have a ChamSys team there as always. But for now, it's Training Tuesday. What are we talking about today? We're talking about audio and timeline programming. I'm trying to keep up with the chat already. There's tons of comments on YouTube already, so it's going to be a fun one for me. So anyway, what are we talking about today? We're talking about audio and timeline programming. Let's jump into Magic Queue. As you've already seen already, it's a completely live session. So anything could happen. Please do comment along the chat. I will do my best to keep up, but looking at the rate of comments in the chat today and the number of people who are on YouTube, it might be a struggle. Anyway, audio and timeline programming. Well, this isn't a new thing. Magic Queue's had its audio timeline for some time. What have I got here? Well, I've just loaded in a basic demo show. I'm going to pretty much start from scratch, so with a queue stack. So let me delete my playback 10 and just show you how you can go about programming with audio. So first off, I'm just going to make a couple of queues. You could make completely empty queues if you want to put the data in later and merge it, but just for simplicity, I'm going to take my spots, I'm going to locate them, put them in a cross position, and I'm going to say, okay, when the song starts, they're going to be in blue here, and I'm going to record that as a cue here, and then I'm going to say at some point in my second cue, they're going to go to the out position here, and they're going to go magenta, and I'm going to store that as a cue there. So I've got a basic cue stack, which if I double click, has got two cues in. I'm in normal live mode, or live chase mode, whichever you want to call it. So of course, as soon as you put more than two cues in a playback, I double click my S button, you can see it's turned it into a chase. I run the playback and it runs my two cues as a chase. I'm going to make this a more theatrical style or cue list of cues. So rather than it going as a chase, I'm going to go in the cue stack window here and I'm going to set this to cue timing here, which of course now converts this to a cue stack. And I use my go button to bump between my two cues. The reason I'm doing that is because halt here is set to yes. I'm going to change halt here to timecode, and it's now listening or waiting for a timecode time to trigger my cues. Whenever you set a timecode, a cue stack to timecode, any follow-on cues you record will be in that timing as well. So if I now went to my programmer, locate the spots, and I put them in, say, the in position, and I put them in red, and I store that as Q3. If I go back to my cue stack, you'll see it's put my Q3 in, it's put it in timecode timing, and it's even just offset up by a second. So it's all ready to go. But I haven't got to set that option every time I record a new cue. It's done once globally on the cue stack. Any new cues you add are in that timing already. It's in internal timecode at the moment, so you'll notice if I have my fader down, when I bring the fader up, you can see the clock starts running here, and it runs through those cues 0, 1, and 2 seconds. On my C encoder here, it's set to internal timecode. Of course, Magic Queue does support external timecode. We support things like LTC timecode, MIDI timecode, ArtNet timecode, CamNet timecode, so you can take timecode off many, many different sources, including things like our genetics nodes, GN5, GN10. You can take MIDI or LTC directly into a GN5 or 10 down on the stage, send it back via network into the console, and away you go with your timecode. I'm using internal timecode at the moment. You can see on this Training Tuesday here, I'm running Magic Queue PC in demo mode. I have no hardware plugged into this laptop as I speak right now. So I'm in demo mode. We can use internal timecode. Now something is worth mentioning in our latest software, so I'm running the 1980 release here. If I go into setup and I go to view settings and I go to MIDI timecode, a great new feature that I personally like now is that internal timecode, our usual timing of internal timecode was that you would have 100 frames a second. Now that might not be consistent if you're toggling to external timecode. So if I set some times here, let's say I set this to 1.35 seconds and I set this one to 2.56 seconds and I change to external timecode, you'll see those times changed. It's now 109 and 214. If I change back again to internal, you see they've gone back again. Now, that can cause slight changes because, of course, I'm moving from 100 frames a second to my timecode frame type here is EBU25. I might set to say simply 30, so I've got 30 frames a second rather than 100. This option has been added in latest software now, so I can just say use external frame type as my internal. It now means that when I convert between the two, my timing is consistent. It no longer changes its time. Much easier. I don't have time changing. So if that's me, that's what I'm going to set, because if things change, I might be programming a track on the console, and then I go off and sync up to external timecode source, an LTC source or something. I know my times are what I've set them at. They're not going to change or anything. So good little tip there for you. It's not a default at the moment. So do go and find that setting and change that should you need it, or you think you're going to be changing between internal and external timecode. So back in my queue stack here, you can see I'm set to internal timecode. If you are using external timecode, like so, we do have a timecode simulator, which can simulate an external source rather than you having to chop and change between the two. But of course, I don't have an internal. I don't have external. I'm just going to run this purely internal for now. So I'm back on internal here. Audio then. Magic Queue can play audio files. Yes, it's not a sound console, but it can play audio files. It can play them out, and you should hear them on the stream shortly when we get there. But you don't have to play it. You can use the audio as a visual waveform for programming. So what I would do is, outside of Magic Queue, in my documents folder, in my Magic Queue folder, there's my show folder. Inside here, you've got an audio folder, and you can drop audio files in here, WAVs, MP3s, etc. Drop them in here, and then you can load them up in Magic Queue. You can have them per queue, so you could say, okay, when I get to Q2, play this audio file. It could be an audio sting or something for, in the middle of your set. That small show. Normally set with quick queue operators. You've got that one person who's operating lights and audio. Quick queue can play audio as well in queues. One person operating the show. Well, you can put your audio stings inside your lighting queues. Press one button, away you go. You don't have to press two things at once. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what you can do in Magic Queue, which is in the queue stack options. Come along to the audio tab, and you can assign an audio file to a queue stack. So I'm now going to double tap, and it's going to show me inside that audio folder which I just showed you. Of course, you can access that via File Manager on consoles as well. And of course, consoles can play audio. All of our current consoles can play audio on them. 50, 70, 250, 500M, etc. can all play audio files. Well, okay, so I've gone here, and I'm going to pick one of these audio files here. I'm going to pick this one here. I've no idea what it is. It's some of Ash's behind the scenes here. It's some of his personal listening music, so you'll find that in a minute what sort of genre music Ash is into. It's going to be a surprise to all of us. So I've selected that file here, and when I run this queue stack, it will start playing the audio file. It's either going to be screamingly loud on the chat now, on the stream, but you should be able to hear that there's some audio playing out via Magic Queue here. Excellent, you're either all deaf now, or Ash has called it and turned the volume down fairly quickly. So it's playing some audio out here. Great, so I'll stop that for a second. When I run that queue stack, you can see the audio starts playing every time. I've got a little VU meter here which shows me that as well. But what we can do in terms of programming, we can actually do some useful programming in this. If I open up here a window called my timeline, and I go to View Editor on the top left here, you might find when you first open Timeline, it's in the track sheet. Just go to the third tab along here and go to View Editor. This shows me my audio timeline window, and it shows me visually the waveform for that audio file. So I can visually see the waveform. I can see where the peaks are inside this here. So I can see, okay, there was a drop here or something here. And I can now actually see that track. I can zoom in here and see the whole track like so. And I can drag and move around here. I can do things like dragging to move my queues around, and all this is doing is simply updating the timecode time for the queues. So I could drag, say, queue 1, 2 and 3 to here. You'll notice if I go into the queue stack, it's updated the time 15 seconds, 21, 31, and it's just moving. As I move these points along the timeline, it's adjusting the timecode time. When I start the track, you'll see the playhead starts moving. I can grab the playhead and scrub it and say, okay, we'll just play this little bit here for me, or grab it and scrub back. No, go back to here, please. And I can run through my queues by doing so like that. So a nice visual way of actually programming to the audio file. You can lock the window here, so it now stops me from being able to scrub and move things around inside this window. I did see in the YouTube chat earlier, someone asked about offsetting timecode. Now you've got multiple options for offsetting timecode. I'm trying to keep up with the chat here, apologies. So offsetting timecode, well, if you're not using the timeline, or maybe you are and you've just got everything, say 5 or an hour out or whatever it might be, or 10 minutes out, little shortcut for you. You can click and drag all your queues. A shortcut for you, if you click the title above any column, selects everything. So just click where it says wait, selects everything. You can use the E-encoder here, and you can wind up your time. So you can see everything. I've got, say, 15, 21, 31. So you can see offset of about 10 between those two there. If I wind up here, you can see it keeps the same offset for me between my queues as I wind this up. like so. I love another little one for you is you can just offset by typing in on your keypad a number, and you can type in a plus or minus. So I could say here plus 1 slash 0 slash 0 enter has now added a 1 hour offset to all of my timecode cues. So I've added a 1 hour offset. If I go to my timeline, you'll see the cues have moved way up here. They're going to be like right at the top here in an hour's time, which is obviously isn't in this track, which is about a 3-minute long track. So obviously I want to take that offset off, so I can do the opposite. I can do a minus 1 slash 0 slash 0 enter, removes the offset, but it leaves everything else as it was. So yes, you can offset your time code. Rather than having to offset all the cues, again, Magic Key, we always give you about 3 options to do everything. If you go to your options, you've got in timecode, you've got a timecode offset you can apply on the stack. So you can add, say, a 1 hour offset to the whole stack without you having to go and edit all the cues. Just remember you've done that there if you wonder why everything's an hour off. Or whatever you've done there. So yes, you can do that, and you can even change your timecode source if you're using genetics devices per stack. So you can actually have up to 11 timecode sources triggering different cue stacks all at once. So hopefully that answers your question about offsets there. If I come back to my timeline here, so I've locked this here. That doesn't stop me editing cues in the cue stack, and here I can change the timing as you've seen, but it means I can no longer drag and move them around in this cue stack. So I've got my cues fixed in a position here. If you add more cues in, so if I added, say, Q4, you see that appears here, I can unlock and I can drag and move it around like so. These little magnet icons, they're snap icons, so I can do things like some audio analysis. So if I go to view markers at the top here, I can generate a beat grid, so I can set my BPM range. I could set, okay, well, it's between, say, 90 or so, let's say 90 to 180 BPM, and I can hit generate. And it's now going to analyze my audio track, and it will drop in a beat grid for me. You can see it's sitting there running through to analyze the audio file, gets to the top, and it's now dropped on, hopefully, a beat grid for me, he says, as it's not appeared there. I don't wonder what I've done to make that not appear, but it should drop on a beat grid for you. I don't know what I've done to tell that not to happen. So we do audio beat grids. Let's try it a second time and see if that works. Maybe not. Okay, we'll have a look at that later. You can have audio beat grids. You can also do things like add section markers. So you've got 2 types. You've got set markers that go on the stack, or you have audio markers which will follow the audio file around. So if I add a set to the stack, that's related to this cue stack only. If I add them to the audio, it will follow the audio file around. So if I use that audio file on 3 different cue stacks, those markers will come in each one of them. A stack one is specific to a cue stack, where they look the same on here. One follows the audio file, one follows the cue stack. Can both be used in the same way? So section markers like so, if I add a couple of section markers in, can be used to break up. So I can sort of denote on my track, okay, this is the intro, here's verse 1, here's a chorus, etc. Of course, you can set a name on them, so I can click here and I could call that, say, oh, if I can get my capitalization right, let's go set, oh, not include, set on that, and I'm going to call this intro, and I'm going to go set on that, and I'm going to call this verse, and set on that, and I'm going to call that chorus, again if I can spell. There we go, and of course on each one of these I can click on it and I can change the color. You've got RGB color control, or just a quick set the color. So this one, set that to red. I could mix a color, okay, that's going to be magenta. Click this one here, rather than mix, I'm going to choose a color and I'm going to say this is blue here. So I can set my tags here. So I've now got something visual to see, okay, when I'm in each part of my track. You can add what's called unique markers, which are these little ones here. A unique marker, again, you can set the name of it. So you can add a unique marker here, and that could be something like, you know, drum solo or something, just a marker that tells me when something's going on in the track, and you can drop that wherever you like there. Again, once you're happy with those, you can lock those so that they're fixed, you can't move them. What I can turn on is things like the magnet, which allows me then to drag and snap things onto those markers. As you can see here, I could drop that, snap it onto the drum solo, wherever that might be. So you've got your markers, you should have beat grids, which again you can use a magnet and snap onto. For some reason it's not showing you my beat grid right now. We'll figure that one out later. Again, so I can then lock this here, so I can no longer move the cues around, and I've got my sets here. What else can we do here? Well, we can add things like timecode tracks. Timecode tracks we've had for a long time. We actually used to have them just in cue stack. So in a cue stack here, you have this view TC window. A timecode track is basically a macro which does button presses in an automated way for you. The timeline makes it much more visual. So for things like if I'm bumping my blinders or something during a chorus, rather than me having to have 100 cues for that, I could have a timecode track that just presses a flash button for me on another playback. So if I jump in here, you can see I've got a button here called Record New TC Track. You can have up to 10 TC tracks per cue stack, but a TC track can trigger as much as you like. If you're on a 500, it can trigger all 15 faders, all 15 encoder playbacks, all at the same time within one track if you wanted, or at different points in that track. So I'm going to start recording a TC track here. Okay, I've got some cues which do some sort of headline changes. When I go to the chorus, do this, start an effect or something, whatever. But if I now go and record new TC track, it starts playing. You'll hear the audio go out in a second. Now, anytime I move a fader, so you can say, okay, I decided I'm going to bring up the wash and beam like so, and bring it down, or I hit this here, spot static there, and bring it down, you can see it's recording that here. Or let's just pretend that these are my blinders here. I know they're not, let's pretend they are. Every time I hit a flash button, okay, I hit it to the beat of the music there and there. I can't actually hear the music, you can hear it on the stream, but I'm looking at the waveform. I've got no idea what Ash's music is like. You can hear it, I can't, but there we go. I hit another one here, there you go, another beat there, another beat there, another one there, and another one there. And then when I'm happy, I hit the release button, stop the record. You can see it's added in this track here. And it tells me here that I've got some flash buttons going on playback 1 on page 1. It is page related, so you can do things across multiple pages. Page 1, playback 3, I've got some levels, etc. here. So when I run the audio file now, you can see the playhead goes, it will start bringing up virtually the fader. Notice here, you can see the fader goes up to the value I had it, and it will fade out with the time that I brought the fader on and down. So if I took 3 seconds to bring the fader up and down, it would do exactly that. And then my flash button presses here, like so. I'll turn this off here because probably Ash's music isn't your cup of tea, you never know. So I've got a timecode track here. You can do things like shift. So if I hold the shift key down, I'm doing it on my keyboard here, so you're not seeing me press the button here. If I hold my shift key down and click and drag, you can select the items here. So if I found I was half a second late, I can click and drag and I can pull these up to where they should be. Now, as Phil would always say, the idea of a ChamSys console is it should be quick to program. We want you to get to catering before the band. In true Phil fashion here, get to catering before the band. You've programmed the first verse and chorus of these flash buttons here. That's going to repeat 3 times throughout the track. So why record it 3 different times? You're going to simply click and drag to select them, hit the copy button, and press enter. Oh, look there, we've got a pasted copy. We can go and drag up to the next verse and chorus, and we can copy and paste that multiple times. Why have to program it every time for the chorus within your track there? Again, when you're happy, you can lock this so you don't move the items around. You do get a little bit of other control just coming back to cues here. So if I unlock my cues here, things like fade and delay times. Now these are linked to the fade and delay times here in your cue stack. You can set those. So if I set this cue to say have a 3-second fade time and I go back, you can see it's now reflected in here. It shows me when that point starts and when it's executed and finished its fade there. So we can do things like fade and delays inside here as well. I've been ignoring the chat. What have we got going on in the chats here? Christian, you asked, is there an easy way to record over an existing TC track, like adding additional flashes later? Yes, there is a way of doing that, absolutely. You're going to put me on the spot here because I always forget how that is. But yes, you can record inside a track. It's probably shift or record or something. Let's see. I'm sure there was an option for moving within the track. Let's see, can I find the option? He says now, you can certainly do it inside a timecode track here. You can go insert in a track. In fact, you can actually change what they're related to. So you can come here and I could actually have got it wrong. I said, okay, I want that on page 1, playback 2. So you can change what it's referencing. You can change timing, etc. You can change the time it happens at. I'm sure there's a way of putting it inside a track here where you could change a button to insert in track. Someone's going to find in a minute and they're going to comment on that because when I'm holding shift, nothing's happening at the moment and it's just adding a new track there, which is not what I want. But we'll see. Maybe Tyler can find that. There, yeah, Tommy said in Q stack view time code. Yeah, that's the way I know it, but I'm sure there was a way of doing that inside there as well. Tyler says select the track header. I'm not sure that's doing anything here, but away we go. Okay, other comments have we got? John Carlo, good to have you with us. It's been a little while since we've seen you on there. Yes, we're on your side, absolutely. Any other questions there? Question there about how can I make a cue with a one-shot effect for intensity, and when I click the button to start it, it starts one by one and doesn't cancel the previous effect. Now that's one, so yes, we can do that delay start on effects. I'm not going to try and demonstrate that now, but yes, it is possible to do. There's a delay start option for effects, which will do absolutely that. We did one a while ago, in fact, that came in for a particular customer where we had a whole line of Sharpies and you want them to start an effect or intensity and go one through the other. So yes, that can happen. Paul, how do you get a ChamSys duck? Well, Tyler's commented there, come and see us at Plaza. Plaza show London this weekend, Sunday to Monday, or IBC show in Amsterdam. We will have ducks there, and you can come and grab a duck from us there. In fact, if you come and do one of our training courses, Plaza London this year, we're running free training courses on the show floor upstairs in Olympia as part of the show. So if you come into the show, you'll see it there with various different sessions you can book into online. They're free trainings, and you will get not just a ChamSys duck, you will get a special limited edition blue ChamSys training duck. So come onto the training at Plaza London and you can get not only a ChamSys duck, but you get the blue training duck there. So there you go. What more reason have you got to come visit Plaza now? Brett, you've commented about offset timecode. Great. Someone's asked about, can I offset only the audio? Good question. So if you want the audio to start later, yes, you can. Here's your audio start timecode here, so you can offset the start timecode for the audio should you wish to as well. So yes, that's possible to do. Tyler says to the right of the magnet. He's obviously saying, I've missed this here, to the right of the magnet. He says you can click in the track to the right of the magnet. I'm not seeing that to drop something in there, but okay, all right, maybe Tyler's seeing something I'm not, clearly. Anyway, there you go. What else have we got? David, he said, when does the training start in Italy? Well, Audio Sales, our distributor, do lots of trainings in Italy. Nick and the Audio Sales team there, very active in training. So best to contact Audio Sales in Italy. They'll be able to tell you when the next training is running, but I know they do run them regularly there. Great. Okay. Well, I think I've just about caught up with all the comments in the chat. As always, it's a live session Training Tuesday. They only stick around on Facebook for a month now, but they live forever in YouTube. We do monitor the comments in these sessions, so if you happen to be watching this 6 months later or whatever on YouTube, please do comment in there. We get notification. We will come back to you and answer your questions there as well. So this has been Training Tuesday. Hopefully see some of you at Plaza London. As I said, the ChamSys team will be there. We look forward to seeing you. We've got some exciting new things to talk about there, so watch this space and see you at Plaza London. If not,